Over the last few years, we've seen a seismic shift in the way we work. The days of commuting to the office Monday to Friday are over. More of us than ever are now working at least some of the time from home, and that's made it a lot easier to strike a healthier work-life balance. However, with some swapping an ergonomic office setup for the dining room table, this change hasn't necessarily been beneficial for our physical health. Time and time again, studies have shown that maintaining any static position throughout the day isn't good. Our bodies have adapted to suit more movement. That's where a height adjustable sit-stand desk really shines. I've been using a budget option for a while, but the Fully Jarvis standing desk has been on my radar for some time, having received rave reviews from other YouTubers. So ever since Herman Miller offered the opportunity to test out the Jarvis for myself, alongside the Ollin monitor arm, I've been looking forward to sharing my experience. Is this really the ultimate home office setup? Let's find out. Starting at £725 in the UK or $719 in the US for the bamboo desktop version, the Jarvis is priced at the more premium end of the standing desk market. However, this is reflected in the high level of craftsmanship and wide range of customization options that make it possible to tailor the desk to match your specific requirements. The laminate desktop version provides an affordable alternative. However, I opted for the solid oak desktop paired with the black Jarvis standing desk frame. I think this combo works really well together, with the lighter oak tones highlighted against the darker shades of the rest of my setup. Assembling the Jarvis is a breeze and only takes about an hour or two. It comes well packaged in 3 boxes that are 100% recyclable and EPE free, a nod to Herman Miller's environmental commitment to reduce single-use plastics in its packaging. While 2 hex keys are included, you'll need to have a Phillips head screwdriver on hand and an extra person to help you flip the desk once complete. The instructions are easy to follow, but if you need a little extra help, there's a useful step-by-step guide on YouTube. Check out my article or description below for a link to that video. The desktop comes pre-drilled with pilot holes, which makes lining everything up extremely easy. The primary mounting points are even fitted with metal thread inserts, which is something you don't see in budget standing desks. This protects the desktop and provides the strongest possible connection to the frame. Shipped in modular pieces, the desk frame interlocks with the 2 lifting columns. Bridged by a pair of center rails secured by tightening pre-installed set screws, the clever design maximizes the strength-to-weight ratio. For those using a custom-sized desktop, it also enables the frame to be extended from a minimum width of 108 cm to a maximum width of 188 cm. It's here that you really appreciate the level of precision deployed in the manufacturing process. Everything slots together perfectly with very narrow margins to ensure a flex-free fit. The 2 feet bolt on next, which include leveling glides for uneven surfaces, and then it's time for the electronics. Again, the instructions are very clear, so simply follow them step by step and you should have no problems. First, screw in the handset to either the left or right side of the desktop, depending on your preference. There are pre-drilled holes on both sides to help with placement here. Then, slide the control box onto the frame and connect the 2 lifting motors along with the handset using the included cables and cable diagram. You can start thinking about cable management here if you like. However, I'd recommend waiting until you have the desk flipped over and all of your computing equipment in place. On that note, the Jarvis standing desk fitted with a bamboo or laminate desktop only weighs around 50 kilograms, so it's fairly easy to maneuver into your workspace. To combat the inevitable cable clutter, the Jarvis comes with 10 adhesive-backed cable clips. These are big enough to hold a sizable section of bunched up cable and stick equally well onto the frame or the bottom of the desktop, giving you maximum freedom to adjust your cable management strategy to suit your particular setup. After some trial and error, I ended up using 4 of the cable clips in combination with a few Velcro cable ties. By routing all wires via the edge and through the center of the frame, I was able to hide and camouflage them to maintain a minimalist aesthetic. I found that this worked really effectively, so hopefully that gives you some ideas on what you can do. Another tip is to take advantage of the 2 desk grommets, if you have them, to hide unsightly wires. I chose a grommet-free desktop as I prefer a cleaner look, but they can be useful. On my previous setup, I utilised them to run my speaker cables underneath the desk to minimise wire wreckage. For added utility, Herman Miller also provides power grommets for an additional £50 in the UK or $39 in the US. For those looking for an ultra-tidy setup, Herman Miller offers a cable management tray or cable tray kit. This screws directly into the bottom of the desktop with enough space to hold a surge protector and extension lead. Since this is an optional extra though, there are no pre-drilled pilot holes, so you'll probably need a power drill to mount it. Handcrafted from 100% European oak, the hardwood desktop itself is really well made. It has a beautiful wood grain and is finished with a clear coat of polyurethane for water resistance and durability. The 120 by 80 cm size fits perfectly in the corner of my room. But if you require more desk space, the Jarvis is also available in larger 140 and 160 cm sizes. The all-steel frame feels reliably robust and, along with the 2 lifting columns and feet, is professionally powder coated in matte black. Again, the finish is flawless. There are no exposed sections and all the welding is really neat. Also, the strengthening gussets and feet have pleasantly rounded corners and a modern Art Deco-esque shape. It's a nice change from the more abrupt edges that you sometimes see in other height-adjustable desks. There are even pre-installed rubber spacers to protect the underside of the desktop from scratches. Unlike the budget standing desk that I previously used, which relied on a single supporting beam for structural rigidity, the Jarvis has 2 crossbars to better support the desktop. If you opt for the hardwood like me, this is a beefy 4 cm thick to prevent bowing. My previous standing desk came with a particle board desktop, which developed a slight curve. However, the Jarvis hardwood desktop is perfectly flat, and Herman Miller uses a denser MDF core in its laminate offering. In fact, I've been using the Jarvis standing desk for about 6 months now, and the desktop has held up to everything I've thrown at it. The surface is super smooth for writing, and I don't notice any surface variations when using precision mouse movements during gaming. In its standard configuration, the Jarvis ships with a basic up and down toggle controller. However, I highly recommend upgrading to the programmable memory handset. This features an OLED touchscreen that displays height, and generally just makes working with the desk much easier. It is a bit of a fingerprint magnet, but you do get a fully branded cloth to maintain that showroom shine. Plus, it makes you feel like Iron Man. Before you start using the desk, you'll need to perform an initial calibration to sync up the electronics. This is really easy to do and just involves a few taps of the down button on the handset. If you're like me, you can also adjust the height readout so that it's 100% accurate and switch between inches and centimeters to suit your preference. Thanks to the OLED display, this is just as intuitive to do, and the included handset guide will take you through each step. Once you've saved these settings, using the handset is simple. By default, holding the up or down arrow will raise or lower the desk until you release the button. The touchscreen is really responsive, and a quick tap will move the desktop by about 0.3 centimeters, which allows you to dial in your preferred desk height using fine adjustments. The memory function enables you to save 4 preset heights to the corresponding number buttons. This is great if multiple people are using the desk and need to make quick adjustments to match their height. However, as an individual user, I found the 4 presets particularly useful to bind my favourite working positions. The Herman Miller Aeron has been my go-to office chair for several years. It supports a deep recline position, which I like to use for general work and gaming. However, the Aeron also has a neat feature that tilts you forward into a more upright perch, ideal for more focused tasks like coding. I found that swapping between the 2 sitting positions has similar benefits as switching between sitting and standing, so I've currently assigned the first 2 preset heights to match. The 3rd preset is set to my regular standing height, and the 4th takes the desk up even higher so that I can use a balance board. Overall, I've been really impressed with the functionality of the Jarvis. It even has extra safety features such as anti-collision. This works via an inbuilt accelerometer that cuts the motors if the desktop runs into an object above or below it. For extra peace of mind, you can also manually set a minimum and maximum desk height to prevent any issues when placing drawers or a filing cabinet. The Jarvis can also be locked to prevent curious kids or pets from touching the buttons on its handset. Unlike other handsets which require a complex combination of keys to lock a desk in place, you just need to hold down the M button for several seconds to access the menu and tap the 1 button twice to engage the child lock, so it's easy to do in a rush. Unlike most budget standing desks, the Jarvis is upgraded with 3-stage actuators to increase its range. These have a minimum height of 65 cm and a maximum height of 130 cm with the desktop included. Based on my own measurements, I estimate that the desk can also be used by taller users up to 6 foot 9 inches or 206 centimeters. However, the majority of people will find the lower end of the range to be most useful. In fact, the Jarvis standing desk can go so low that I can comfortably use it while kneeling down. And surprisingly, I found this to be a very favourable position to work in, as a way to reset my posture. That being said, based on Herman Miller's own recommendation and my personal experience, I would say that people shorter than 5 foot 4 inches or 162.5 centimeters would probably benefit from using a footrest when seated. Alternatively, those in the US can opt for the Jarvis with a low 3-stage frame. The twin 144 watt motors have a huge lifting capacity of 158 kilograms, far more than you'll ever need even with a heavy desktop and multi-monitor setup. And with an adjustment speed of almost 4 centimeters per second, it doesn't take long for the desk to catch up with you when you decide to stand up. Even though the lifting motors are pretty powerful, the Jarvis is still a very energy efficient sit-stand desk. In my testing with a little over 10 kilograms resting on top of the desktop, I measured the power draw to be around 140 watts when raising the desk and just 50 watts when lowering it. The handset pours a measly 1.9 watts when engaged, but as soon as the OLED display turns off, the power consumption drops to pretty much zero. So using the Jarvis won't put any additional strain on your electricity budget. If you're sharing your office space, then there's no need to worry about whining motor noise either. I measured an average operating noise level lower than 40 decibels, which is less than the stated 50 decibels. For reference, that's about the same as a quiet conversation, plus in most cases the motors will only be engaged for about 10 seconds at a time anyway. It might sound cliche, but using an adjustable standing desk has truly changed the way I work. The huge ergonomic improvements may be slightly inflated because I switched straight from using a dining room table as my desk. However, I don't think I can ever go back to using a static desk again, at least for my main setup. Previously, I had to regularly rest my feet on the base of my chair because my desk was a little too high for me. Using a footrest was another option, but the table frame often pinched the top of my thighs, so I always found myself in a compromised position. Switching to a standing desk immediately fixed both of these issues. I can now lower the desk to the point where I no longer need additional foot support, and if I want to change to a more reclined position, there's ample clearance for my legs thanks to the interference-free frame. Thanks to the soft start and stop feature, the Jarvis is buttery smooth in motion, so your full cup of coffee is safe from any spills. Like most adjustable height sit-stand desks, the Jarvis relies on two T-shaped legs with large 66cm feet for stability. While this design is never going to be quite as stable as a desk with 4 legs, I've been really impressed with the performance of the Jarvis here. In a low sitting position, the desk is rock solid and just as stable as the wooden dining table I used to work on. The strengthening gussets of the frame along with the dual crossbars do a brilliant job of supporting the entire desktop, so the desk is perfectly balanced even when positioning heavy equipment at the front of the desk. This is particularly useful for me when testing out different sim racing rigs and wheel stands. Here, the Jarvis works really well as an alternative to a dedicated monitor mount. The height adjustability enables me to line up the monitor with the sim racing rig and dial in a more realistic field of view. At my regular standing height, around 100 centimeters, the Jarvis remains sturdy and planted. If you physically push the desk, there is a slight wobble, however it's still reliably steady during normal use. The same can also be said at higher settings, even when doing desk push-ups or dropping a few dance moves to your favourite tunes. Incidentally, these are both great ways of introducing more movement into your routine. To achieve the right balance throughout your workday, a good rule of thumb is to use the 20-8-2 rule. Basically, within any 30-minute period, the suggestion is to sit for 20 minutes, stand for 8 minutes, and do some light exercise for 2 minutes. Before switching to a standing desk, I relied on a small desk converter to help with this. This is a great option for laptop users in small spaces, but these days I usually rely on the extra power of my desktop PC for better productivity and to render videos. While I was still able to use the desk converter to work while standing, my monitor's stock stand couldn't be raised high enough to match, so I was left in another unergonomic position with my head facing downward. The beauty of a standing desk compared to a desk converter is that it lifts your entire desktop, eliminating this issue. However, for the most ergonomic setup, it's a good idea to utilize an adjustable monitor arm as well. For those in the US, Herman Miller offers the Jarvis monitor arm, which is designed to pair perfectly with the Jarvis standing desk. However, here in the UK, the Ollin monitor arm is an attractive alternative. Like the Jarvis monitor arm, the Ollin is designed to support screens up to a maximum weight of 9 kilograms. So it's a great option for mounting heavy ultrawides, compatible with VESA patterns 75x75 and 100x100mm. However, unlike the Jarvis, which runs on a traditional gas lift, the Ollin monitor arm employs an elastomer polymer band as its power source. The technical cord, as it's been dubbed, provides more balanced resistance across the entire dynamic range of the arm. It does require bedding in, meaning that you may need to fine-tune the resistance as you initially use the arm. However, the thumb wheel and tension gauge makes this really easy to do on the fly without requiring any tools. With that taken care of, the Ollin supports my hefty 7kg Acer Predator X34 with ease. It now floats across my desk and can be readjusted in a matter of seconds. As humans, our eyes scan downwards, so to achieve the most ergonomic position, the top of your screen should be in line with your eye height. My monitor's stock stand raised the bottom of my screen up to a maximum 16.5 centimeters from the desk. This was plenty high enough when seated, but I still found my neck craning forward when standing. The Ollin monitor arm nearly doubles this height, raising the bottom of my screen up to 30 centimeters from the desk, so I can now maintain perfect posture in every position, or at least try to. The friction adjustable VESA plate enables the screen to be rotated freely between portrait and landscape, making the Ollin ideal for use as a secondary monitor arm too. The monitor tilt adjustment resistance can also be balanced using the included 4mm hex key. However, with a sizable screen like mine, this is the most awkward adjustment to work with. A quick tip though is to initially tilt your screen upward beyond the desired position. You can then work with the weight of your monitor as you fine-tune the tilt angle downward. Like the Jarvis standing desk, setting up the Ollin monitor arm is straightforward. There are a number of fixing solutions, but the most versatile is the Flow Split desk clamp. It's adaptable to fit desks up to 6.5 centimeters thick, so it's perfect for chunky hardwood desktops like mine. My advice is to install the clamp on the back edge of your desktop 7 centimeters off the center line. This will ensure that your screen is centered once you've adjusted it to arm's length from you, which is generally considered the best distance to reduce eye strain. Another tip is to stick a rubber pad on the clamp plate to protect your desktop, as you'll need to screw this up pretty tightly. I'm surprised that the Ollin doesn't come with this as standard, but it's an easy fix. The clamp is factory fitted with a 180-degree stop feature. With a simple alteration, you can permit 360 degrees of rotation for maximum flexibility. However, if your desk is parked against a wall like mine, then leave the stop in place to prevent accidental contact. Next, install the monitor arm by pushing it firmly onto the desk fixing and mount your monitor using the quick release VESA plate. Cable management is taken care of by a clip installed on the back of the monitor arm, a hook located on the central limb, and a wire pass-through positioned close to your monitor. It's a simple but effective solution that works to tame that mass of power cords, data cables, and wired peripheral devices. It's important to leave enough free cable to avoid stretching or snagging in all positions, so I recommend raising the standing desk and extending the monitor arm fully before tidying those wires. Since the Ollin's cable management system is not enclosed, you may find that the odd cable occasionally pops out of place as you maneuver the monitor arm. However, with a bit of care and a few Velcro cable ties, I've been able to reduce this to a minimum. Using the Fully Jarvis standing desk and Ollin monitor arm over the last 6 months has been an absolute game changer. This is not the first adjustable standing desk I've used, but it's certainly the most versatile, and it's the first time I've utilised a monitor arm. At a basic level, simply having the ability to switch between sitting and standing at the touch of a button makes a huge difference to my comfort throughout the day. If you've never used a standing desk before, then this might not sound like such a big deal, but I've found that it's vastly improved my mood and productivity. The more I use the Jarvis though, the more I appreciate less obvious benefits of having a height adjustable desk, particularly one with this range. Being able to dial in the perfect sitting height, for example, means that I don't need to rely on a footrest. And even varying the desk height by a couple of centimeters can be enough to alleviate any built-up muscle tension from sitting for too long. On that note, I've found that experimenting with different desk heights is really beneficial. If I need to do some quick social media or graphic design work on a tablet, it's helpful to lift up the desk into a higher position like a breakfast bar to support my elbows. On the other hand, the Jarvis's 3-stage frame provides a very functional low-end range, useful when lounging back in a deep recline or working in a kneeling position. While the Jarvis is not the most budget-friendly standing desk on the market, it's still competitively priced, especially when you consider the high level of craftsmanship and build quality. The oak hardwood desktop that I tested is really well made and sturdy enough to withstand anything you can reasonably throw at it. Paired with the black desk frame, the end result is an understated yet stylish combo that fits in most decor. This is a desk that will move with you for years to come, so since we're all going to be working from home a lot more moving forward, it's definitely worth investing in a quality adjustable standing desk like the Jarvis. It's really an investment in your health. Combine this with an ergonomic monitor arm like the Ollin, and you've got what I think is the ultimate home office setup.